Happy Friday. Thank you for joining us. I'm April Knight and you're watching the News 2 Week in Review. Topping our story tonight, Department of Education officials had a walkthrough this week to give the media a look at how the modular units are being set up for the 2018-2019 school year. News 2's James Gardner was there and has this report.
The Department of Education held a walkthrough to show the work being done to put modular classrooms in place in time for the start of the 2018-2019 school year. The tour took place at the Lockhart Elementary School on St. Thomas, where workers from AECOM, a global engineering and construction firm, were working on foundations.
We're working on all three islands, 15 different school sites. We have 2 on St. John, on Sky Benjamin, and Lily Sprout. We have a total of 6 here on St. Thomas. We have Gladys Abraham. We have Natalie McCann-Crine. We're at Charlotte Amalie High School. We have Ronald Dora King High School. There's Benjamin Oliver at Belsky, and Benjamin Oliver at Gomez. And we also have the Wheaton School Site.
The biggest challenge for contractors is getting the material produced in stateside facilities to arrive on island at the same time.
Organizing all of the things that have to be done and getting it in a very, very tight timeline. And those are the fabricating the trailers. The sprung structures are coming from Utah. Getting them here, getting them on the road, getting them on the ship, getting them in line, in queue, having this come in at the right time, not too early, not too late, at the right time so that we can efficiently place it. This really is a logistics job.
Superintendent Dion Wells-Hedgington reiterated the main purpose of the modulars.
Focus of the territory, I should say, because similar work is occurring on St. Croix, is to get our students off of double sessions. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It must be done. Our children deserve to be in a full day of school and provide them with the quality instruction that they need. We're going to be around and about at all the sites. We're excited. I think when we see the first site constructed is when the community will have that sense of relief that this is actually going to be a reality.
This is a long-term process, so anytime in September, once the modulars are in place, you're going to start seeing some large groups of people throughout these buildings, these school buildings, doing evaluations, which again is going to require a contract. So we're in the process of preparing that RFP to go out under the FEMA scope. It's called Category E work, which is permanent repairs and school replacement.
Talks have taken place with UVI President Dr. David Hall over the use of the UVI field for public school athletic programs. And on St. John, school officials are in talks with officials from the National Park Service over the use of the baseball field near the Cruz Bay Visitors Center. For News 2, this is James Gardner.
Well, this week, Tuesday, was the deadline for 2018 candidates to submit their campaign finance disclosures. Because of the sheer amount of documents submitted to the election office, however, those disclosures will not be available to the public until the 24th of July. Meanwhile, early voting for the primaries is ongoing. You still have a chance to stop by your election office and beat the crowd on primary election day, which is August 4th. The early voting period began Monday, July 16th, and goes on until July 25th. You can head to your election offices between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's at Sunny Isle Annex on St. Croix, Marketplace Suite 2 on St. John, and Lockhart Gardens on St. Thomas, just above Banco Popular. The Internal Revenue Bureau testified before the Senate Finance Committee on Monday, and on top of defending a $12.5 million budget, the Bureau also gave an update on the government's progress in issuing tax refunds. According to Internal Revenue Director Marvin Pickering, the Bureau paid out $29.2 million in tax refunds so far this fiscal year, and that amount was paid out to more than 12,200 accounts. The Bureau is also still processing some $62.4 million for about 28,200 tax accounts, and that last amount included 2016 and prior tax year refunds. Pickering said none of the 2017 refunds have gone out yet. Governor Kenneth Mapp did say that the government will be making payments toward tax refunds every other Friday. We'll keep you updated. Well, lawmakers had a big day today, Friday, at the Legislative Building not on St. Thomas, but on St. Croix. The Committee of the Whole met to take testimony from a long list of people, including various cabinet members, on the reopening of the Lime Tree facility on St. Croix. Governor Mapp and Lime Tree executives recently announced the planned reopening of the St. Croix refinery and storage facility, which could see some $1.4 billion in investments. Although Lime Tree does not intend to reopen the entire refinery, one concern lawmakers have is the environmental impact later on. Past owners Havenza closed the refinery before any of the environmental repairs mandated by the EPA could be made, and there are concerns that the environmental neglect could be repeated with Lime Tree and its owners ArcLight Partners. The Senate has scheduled a special session on Wednesday, July 25th. We'll keep you updated. Well, Governor Kenneth Mapp was on the national spotlight recently as Republican lawmakers expressed concerns about the state of emergency declaration that has in it as one of its provisions the government's ability to seize weapons and ammunition from citizens living in the Virgin Islands, stating that this violates their Second Amendment rights. Utah Representative Rob Bishop and Virginia Representative Bob Goodlatte were on Tucker Carlson's show on Fox News to air their disapproval, and they also demand documents from the governor, including policies for seizures and any weapon seizures that have already occurred. The state of emergency has been extended 9 times already and grants the governor authorities not normally available to him. There's currently legislation going through the Senate that would require the governor to seek legislative approval to extend the state of emergency beyond 60 days. The Veterans Drive project is ongoing and is showing signs of activity. Motorists driving along waterfront are bound to have noticed this site. Government officials are calling this the single largest road construction project in the Virgin Islands. And in Virgin Islands history, the project spans 3 miles and would take about 3 years to complete. The Federal Highway Administration expects that the project will be completed in the summer of 2021. The project includes the construction of 2 new lanes along the existing Veterans Drive. It will also include the construction of land dividers with palm trees and major new pedestrian promenades supported by a new concrete seawall. Coming up next, residents have expressed concerns over Schneider Regional Medical Center's ability to attend to medical needs of Virgin Islanders. We talked to hospital executives who gave us updates on the hospital's post-hurricane recovery. We have the highlights coming up next. Welcome back. With help from Rabbi Michael Feshbach of the Hebrew Congregation of St. Thomas, the territory received a 3-day visit recently from Israeli Consul General in New York, Danny Dayan. Dayan met with community and government leaders building diplomatic relations. He spoke with then acting Governor Valdemir Collins, who's also the finance commissioner, as well as Senate President Myron Jackson. Dayan became Consul General of Israel in New York in 2016, in charge of areas including New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. And they recently learned that they're also in charge of Israel's diplomatic relations with the U.S. Virgin Islands. Dayan learned about the territory's devastation from the 2017 hurricanes, so his itinerary included finding ways to help VI residents. Well, the territory's hospitals have been at the center of various controversies, and Schneider Hospital was not immune, especially after the hurricanes. Most recently, the financially embattled medical center found itself the subject of concerns over blood donations and, in general, just its capacity to provide medical care to people who need it. This week, we spoke to Schneider officials to get an update on what the facility can do and cannot do medically. Here's the first part of our series of stories on Schneider Regional Medical Center's post-hurricane recovery.
We take all patients that come. That's our mandate. We will treat everyone. If the entire island comes, we will at some point see the entire island.
We are in business 24 hours a day, which we have to be as the only hospital on the island.
still at full service. Emergency room never went down.
I think we're getting there. Our rooms have opened back up because for a while the trauma rooms were closed because of water damage. So they've been opened back up.
We are down to less operating rooms than we had before, but our operating rooms that we are working with and that we're able to staff can provide the very same surgeries that we were providing prior to the storm.
We had some water leaking, but compared to then or now, the leaking has been substantially resided. But there's not a major difference in terms of leaking and damages. We didn't get a lot of damage during the storm.
That does put a severe stress because as those get filled up very quickly, that's going to put back challenges to the emergency room in being able to offload the patients that needs to be admitted. That can create long emergency room waits.
For the medical adult unit, we did have a lot of water infiltration. One of the windows blew out and we had to evacuate. I think that you have the opportunity to personally entertain fear. Basically, the focus is on doing what you have to do, taking care of the patients and making sure that they're safe. Eventually, we were able to move them back up to our adult surgical unit, so we combined the medical and surgical population on the same unit.
Our Heart and Lung Institute, our cardiologist, Dr. Sterling, is providing excellent cardiology care.
However, in terms of bringing up more services and having a steady flow with pulmonology and with our interventional cardiology services, that's something that we're working on.
The services permanently at this point affected was our cancer building and our ability to provide radiation oncology services. So that's basically providing radiation therapy to patients who may have cancer or other syndromes that require that service.
I think that now that we don't have a cancer center, a lot of people now are probably going off island to seek treatment, and while they're away, they're just pretty much having their CAT scans and their bone scans and all of their follow-up imaging done back in the States.
Yes, we have a staffing shortage, especially in the case of RNs, nurses. This hospital lost 175 employees after the hurricane. I think my knowledge reflects about 44 were RNs.
One did scared to be here for another hurricane. And so a lot of people left, especially people with CKCI and stuff like that, they didn't have a place.
We are really eagerly trying to recruit nurses. We just have a salary increase that was distributed to our nursing staff. But yes, we have a very critical need for nurses. We always need some physicians. We have lost some physicians from retirement. And we have other ancillary staff with difficult to find respiratory therapists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, even ultrasonographers, radiographers, known as X-ray techs. So it runs the full gamut.
To hear that the community thinks that the hospital is closed or are only operating on the emergency services. Our hospital is open, and we want to give confidence, and I want to give confidence that our medical staff is here and providing services as they were before.
Now that the storm is past and we're in a recovery mode, all those services are fully operational, and the people of this community we serve have nothing to worry about.
Catch the second part of our Schneider Hospital series. Next time, we're focusing on the hospital's infrastructure and the major decisions that they need to make in the near future. Stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next. Welcome back. United Way U.S. Virgin Islands stopped by VIA last week. VIA has been making generous contributions toward United Way's causes, and VIA employees themselves have reached into their own pockets to help out. VIA Vice President for Governmental Affairs and Public Relations Jennifer Matarangas-King thanked United Way U.S. VI President Vinod Didlani for sharing how the funds are making a difference. Here's more.
I really think that our company is interested in, the check is nice, but you need help. So advocacy, how can we be involved? And then also, many of the people that are in the room are writing their own personal checks. So it's not just a VIA check that's going out. And I think it's wonderful for you to come because we're all busy and we know something good is happening. But to spend time with you, for you to take the time and show us specifically, this is what is happening with your money. That's wonderful.
Today, we want to thank the United Way Virgin Islands for stopping by and joining us for our kickoff for the Stuff the Bus School Supply Drive. We ask everyone in our community to join with us and mobilize to continue the efforts and the hard work that the United Way Virgin Islands continue to provide for our community. Thank you.
Well, we haven't seen any major systems come our way except for Tropical Storm Beryl, which eventually weakened. Still, FEMA and VITEMA are urging residents to remain vigilant and to always be prepared. Build your hurricane preparedness kits. Make sure that you get a week's worth of food and water beforehand so you don't rush to the grocery stores. If you are taking any medication, make sure that you have 30 days worth of supplies. The power would likely go out, so make sure you have extra batteries at home. The gas stations might not be open, so make sure that your gas tank is full as well. Withdraw cash to make sure that you have that on hand if the banking systems go down with the power and the internet. And if you have pets, please make sure you have a week's worth of food and supplies for your fur babies and your other critters. VITEMA continues to monitor any system that may form in the Atlantic, but they urge you to stay alert and stay safe. And with that, here is your News 2 AccuWeather forecast.
Pretty tranquil pattern setting across the Caribbean right now. We're going to notice more dry air pressing its way in and also some dust mixed in with that. Notice as we head a little closer into the satellite, we have some puffy clouds out there. That's going to bring us a chance for some passing showers here across the Leeward Islands into the Virgin Islands as well as Puerto Rico for the extended forecast. But any big moisture makers not going to be seen for the next several days. Tonight we're cooling down to 79 degrees. Once again, a passing shower is going to be very brief and light in nature, and everyone may not get that passing shower. 89 in St. John's for tomorrow, calling for a light easterly trade shower. Same in St. Thomas with a high of 89 degrees. Clouds around in St. Croix with a high of 88. And once again, a passing shower. Not going to be a washout situation. Not going to be any deep level moisture. The things that we do need to be concerned about are the marine forecast. On the Atlantic side, as of now, we do have a small craft use caution out. Waves are running 3 to 5 feet and winds out of the east 10 to 15 knots. And as we head into the Caribbean side, waves are 4 to 6 feet and winds out of the east 10 to 15 knots. And we do have a small craft use caution on this side. So a little bit elevated at times, and if you're headed out to the beach, just be aware of the rougher surf that we'll be having across the Atlantic and the Caribbean facing beaches. So any plans for this weekend outdoors? You're going to get a little moisture, not a whole bunch, a passing brief shower in spots, and that's going to be the situation here on Sunday as well. And then we're going to begin to copy and paste each day here. Clouds, sun, and then a possible shower on your Monday as well. And temperatures in the upper 80s here for the extended forecast. Not a lot of deep moisture in place for us. That means we have plenty of time to be outdoors enjoying the sunshine, maybe doing some yard work as well. As we head into your nighttime lows, cooling down into the upper 70s. Once again, no deep moisture in place for us. Just going to keep in that easterly trade flow and keep the chance for some spotty showers.
Thank you for that. Stick around. News 2 Sports with Gary Anthony is coming up next.
I'm Gary Anthony, and this is News 2 Sports. This is just not another fish story. The 30th annual Bastille Day Kingfish Tournament cast its rod and reel into the waters off St. Thomas this past Sunday. Over 60 boats with nearly 200 anglers braved the swells and the wind for a chance to win the $2,000 first prize. Many wondered if the tournament would even be held in the aftermath of the 2 hurricanes that devastated the territory in 2017. David Studell, a part-time St. Thomas resident, reeled in the big fish, tipping the scales at 45.55 pounds. All in all, it was a day of fish stories where the big one did not get away.
When we first started, is to bring the community together, and it really did. You know, it did had a lot of fun. Everybody enjoyed it. Yeah, there hundreds of people out there waiting for when the fishermen come in. So it was very good.
From the water to the court, the Virgin Islands national women's team is in Colombia for the Central American and Caribbean Championship Games.
Just a little more than a year ago, the U.S. Virgin Islands senior women national team was celebrating a gold medal win at the 2017 FIBA Women's Central Basket Championships, played at home at the UVI Sports and Fitness Center. But then came the storms.
This tournament is kind of special to us because just last year, in this exact same time, we were here and competing in St. Thomas and won the gold. And then we literally left, and 2 weeks later, I want to say almost maybe 3 weeks later, Hurricane Irma and then Maria followed. So we didn't think we'd be competing this upcoming summer with the islands recuperating and trying to get back on track. So to have this opportunity again to continue traveling and continue representing the country, it's indescribable.
This week, the women went to Barranquilla, Colombia for the Central America and Caribbean Games, the first of 2 tournaments they will compete in this summer.
The plan is to go down there and compete, that's definitely what we do every time we step on the floor, is to play our hardest. It's a good field. We play Colombia that first night, then we play Cuba the second night, and Jamaica the third night going into the middle round. So if we get at least 2 out of those 3 wins, definitely be seeded very well going to the middle round.
While 2 teammates have left, 8 remain from last year's gold medal bunch. Adding to the team's chemistry this time around, a new head coach, Clint Williams, a St. Croix native out of Morehouse State University, along with guard Tyra Asker and Shanae Hedrington, who Williams said have brought both depth and firepower.
I think I have a very high basketball IQ team. These women play all over the world. Some play high level Division I right now, some play professionally overseas. So they know when to push the pace, when to slow it down, when to try to get up more run, when to execute more in the half court. So I think they make my job a lot easier, to be honest, because they have such high basketball IQs. They play very well. For us, like I said, we run a run, especially early on, but as the game we're on, we kind of want to execute more in the half court set. So definitely you see a good combination of both for sure.
Colombia is tied with the USVI at number 35 in the FIBA Women's World National Rankings. And for the CAC tournament, only 3 of the 8 entries in the tournament are top ranked: Puerto Rico, Mexico, and Jamaica. For News 2, this is James Gardner.
Thank you for that, and that's it for our show tonight. Make sure you follow us on Facebook at News2 or Instagram at TV2USVI. We want to hear from you, so tag us on any stories you want to see on the news or send us a message on Messenger. You can also email us at newsdirector@tv2.vi. Thanks again for joining us on News 2 Week in Review. I'm April Knight. We'll see you next time. Have a wonderful weekend.